Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Chloe and I'm the Coordinator of Events at Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand. And you can see Belle Temby there on your screen as well. She's our presenter today and I'll introduce her in just a moment. Now, Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand are part of the Info Exchange Group. We're a not-for-profit social enterprise that tackles the biggest social challenges through the smart and creative use of technology. For those of you who haven't attended a webinar session with us before, Connecting Up and TechSoup New Zealand facilitate an annual training calendar of online webinars, workshops, boot camps and webcons to help the social sector upskill in all things digital. If you're interested in attending any of our other webinars or trainings in the future, please check out our training and events menu on our website for more events coming up online. That's enough about me today. I'm really excited to welcome you today to the Website Wellness Checkup with Belle Temby, who's the Director of Digital Services Lab. We have a lot of people here interested today on how to improve their websites, and I'm really excited to be hosting this session with Belle. Belle's has worked in the charities and not-for-profit sector for over 14 years and has managed some really exciting technology and communications projects during that time. Belle and her husband Mike opened Digital Services Lab, combining his corporate IT experience with her passion for social justice. And Belle is obsessed with providing a great customer service experience to every person she works with. Now, before we begin today, we will start with a little bit of housekeeping for you all. All lines are muted, so if you have any technical issues, please type it in the questions box, which you'll find on your GoToWebinar panel, and I'll be able to assist you. Now, if you have any questions during the session, please also type it into the questions box and Belle will answer them during the session and in the Q&A at the end of the webinar today. Now, please note that your comments and questions will also not appear to the entire group, but we do encourage you to ask lots of questions throughout the session today as well to make sure you get the most out of your experience. If you're on a Wi-Fi connection and have multiple programs open, this can also sometimes affect the quality of the audio and video of your webinar. So if possible, please close all other programs to help you have the best experience possible. This webinar is being recorded and a copy of the slides will be sent to you and a copy of the recording at the end of the session today as well. And before we start, I'd also like to remind you there will be a short survey at the end of the webinar and we'd really appreciate if you could take the time to leave your feedback from the session today. So that's all from me. I'll disappear for the moment and I'll pass it over to Belle to get things started. Thanks very much, Belle. Hope you all enjoy the session today.
Thank you. Thanks, Chloe. And welcome everyone to the Website Wellness Checkup. It's great to be here today and I'm happy to take you through the next 45 minutes. We've got a poll actually to begin with, just to test the temperature of your not-for-profit. And that is, the question that we have to ask you, Chloe's going to bring it up in a moment, is do you have a website?
So that's just a quick poll for everyone this morning. Do you have a website for your organisation? If everyone could answer yes or no, we'll give people another 5 seconds just to respond. Great, so the results are in. 98% say yes and 2% say no, Belle.
Okay, thank you for that. That's really good information to know and helps inform me of where we go next. So I'm just going to, sorry, had a little technical difficulty there. Okay, so 98% of you have a website. That's fantastic. What we're here today is to take you through the top 10 steps or tips that you need to focus on to have a brilliant website. So why are we here today? Well, we're here to get inspiration for improving our websites. We're here to learn some practical steps to help our website shine online. We are here to get some tools and tips to help us measure our website effectiveness. And we are here to learn how to make an impact and connect with our community online in the best way that we can. So today, I'm just going to introduce myself a little bit more. We have our company that I'll give you a small overview on. Then we'll get into the top 10 tips and the wrap up and a gift. So what you need today is a pen and some paper. I did send out a worksheet, so you may have that worksheet available. That just guides you through the slides that we're going into and to take notes on that worksheet. This will be a workshop style webinar, and that means we'll have some short pauses just in a couple of places throughout the session for you to complete or consider information. The top 10 tips you can focus on for a healthy and brilliant website will be coming up next. So just a little bit more about me. Chloe gave a fantastic introduction, and that was great. I happen to live in Mallacoota, Victoria, and as you know, they went through some bushfires at the beginning of the year, and I can still report to the rest of Australia and New Zealand today that Mallacoota is still looking beautiful and doing really well. We live here with our two beautiful dogs. My husband, Mike, of course, he's here too, and I work across Australia, and we co-locate at the OC House in North Melbourne when I'm in town every 6 to 8 weeks. I'm a serial volunteer. Not only have I worked in the not-for-profit space, but I've volunteered on the executive of numerous committees of management for the past 10 years. That includes neighbourhood houses, trust reserves, youth centres, and more recently, the Business and Tourism Association in Mallacoota. I've developed a bespoke software solution for the education sector and worked on multiple digital projects, which Chloe has already mentioned. Throughout my career, I noted the lack of investment in digital solutions in the sector, especially in knowing that some of these investments lead to better productivity and better outcomes and more engagement with our community. So that was my motivating factor to open Digital Services Lab with Mike, knowing that he had all that corporate IT experience. And we really wanted to bridge the gap in the sector in the hope that we can teach not-for-profit some of our learnings in the hope that they don't get left behind. So a little bit about Digital Services Lab. Well, social justice is definitely one of my passions. And we believe here in our business that every action we take is an opportunity to be more ethical, sustainable, and socially just. Our mission is to do great work for the greater good. And the services that we offer are web design and development, website care, search engine optimization, analytics dashboards, graphic design, email automations and template development. We do some consulting work, and we also build some bespoke software solutions for not-for-profits. An example of that is special newsletter templates that are automatically sent out to the email groups that people have. So today, we are also happy to report we're planting trees to reduce the carbon footprint of this meeting, and we buy ethical and sustainable where possible, and we hope to be assessed as a B Corp Sunday soon. Our clients are people that are located all over Australia, and we would love to work with some New Zealanders too. We work with government, charity, and non-profits and for-purpose businesses. The size of the organisations we work with vary greatly. They are mainly small to medium-sized not-for-profits. So I hope this demonstrates I'm well placed to be here today, giving you the top 10 tips you need to focus on to have a brilliant website. So let's get started. Tip 1. Okay, this is before we even look at your website. We want to reveal your organisation to the world. So we need to make sure you have clarity of purpose in order to reveal your organisation. Why would you need to do that? Because nearly every not-for-profit has a big heart, a big reason you exist, and a resounding why. And one of the biggest deficits we see in not-for-profits is that they forget to express that why they began in the first place, what it is they're really about. So what I want you to do is think about your why so that you can help people better connect to your service. So write down your why it is you exist now. I want to take 30 seconds, and in that time, Chloe is going to bring up a poll about if your organisation has a great why. So Chloe, if you can leave that poll up just for 30 seconds, that would be great.
Not a problem. That poll's there as well for everyone to complete while you're also thinking about your why as an organisation.
Great. Okay,
Wonderful.
thanks,
Now,
Chloe.
share those results. So we've got 84% of people say yes, they do have a great why, and 16% say no.
Okay, beautiful. For the 16%, we can get you a great why, and it's almost easy to do. But what we want to do for the other percentage of people that do have a great why, and I'm so happy because it's going to be so much easier to connect with your audience online, is I'll get you to look, now that you've written the statement down, I want you to read it out loud with other people that you know and test it. Does it make sense? Do people have questions once they answer that? Because once you put this on your website, your why, people are going to understand exactly what it is you're about. So it's good to check in with someone else. Next, you need to reveal your solutions. So every organization solves a problem for people. People are lonely, they want to connect. People are new to a community and they want to meet new people. People are looking for a career change. They might take up a course that you offer. People want something to do close to home. They might dance, do art, keep bees. As an example, if I'm a community organisation, a neighbourhood house, a sports club, an RSL or a church, I do more than just offer a service, I solve a problem for people. So it's important that you think about the problems that you solve in order to better connect with the people that you service and to meet new people. And finally, we want you to reveal your point of difference. So outlining why coming to you is different from going to a similar organisation down the road. Here's an example of some points of difference. You have a special club or a special focus. Maybe it's a chess club, maybe it's a tennis club. Maybe you have an ambassador that people love and connect with. Perhaps you're the only one in a 50-kilometre radius offering this type of course or service. Perhaps you have a very strong membership indicating plenty of opportunity for people to meet with other people. Perhaps you offer special networking or friendship building events. These are all points of difference that people will be attracted to when they see your website. So in summary, revealing your heart, the problems you solve, and your point of difference will help you connect with people online in a way that many other organizations miss. Okay, so let's move to tip 2. What do you do? This is a nice simple one, but what I want you to do in this area is to make a list of everything you do, absolutely everything, as a part of your service to others. Now, I've got some examples here, and there may be other things that you do. Programs, events, fundraising, and that could include raffles, auctions, donations, support services, sell products, perhaps you research or share your knowledge with others. That could be sector knowledge or through blog posts or articles that you publish on your area of expertise. Now, for everything you list in what you do, I want you to put a tick next to each one that is on your website. Everything you have listed can be included in a website. If you have the time to invest, you can do it yourself. If you have the budget, you can outsource it. So a lot of people, I think now, especially because of COVID-19, have had to take some of their fundraising online. And for some of our clients, I've implemented raffles that have gone online, silent auctions and donation programs delivered in new ways. And I think it's important for us all to think about all of those activities that we undertake in our organisation. If somebody brings in a form to us or they hand us money at the desk, that's something that we can do on our website. And it's worth offering all of the services, or at least letting people know that you offer all of these activities within your organisation, even if you're not ready to fully automate those systems or services yet. So everything you have listed can be included in your website. Whether you are listing events on Eventbrite or collecting donations through third-party applications, you at a minimum need to invest time to ensure you make it clear, have links from these third-party applications from your website to those applications. So this quick review will now reveal for you what gaps are missing on your website. And these become the opportunities for improvement. If someone has to call you or visit you in person or even follow you on social media to understand all that's on offer, then it's likely you're losing clients, customers, members, and volunteers. In summary, you shouldn't withhold any part of what you do on your website. If you want to build your audience, you need to be clear, which takes us to tip 3. And that's know your audience. Now, this is a really fun activity, I think, and it really helps you identify gaps on your website. So I've written here, know your audience, who is your website for? But more appropriately is know your audience for your entire organization. Often we get, or what my observation is, we get single-minded about our websites and who they're for. Some of us think members are the most important people, others are donors or clients, and sometimes we miss talking to our entire audience through our website. In the slide here and on your handout, I've listed a handful of common audience types for not-for-profits. Another, of course, would be a volunteer. So your job now is to write down each audience type that is relevant to your organization. Do you go for grants? Who funds you? They're a stakeholder, a partner. Do you have community partners, businesses? Do people refer people to you? And who are those people? So just list every audience type that you have, and you might want to give them a name. So it could be client, customer, member, a referrer. And who is the referrer? Is it a professional? What professional is it? Is it a family member? Is it usually mum or dad? Right, get a little bit deep there. And the donor. So are your donors typically, what gender are they? What age are they? Think about that. And of course, the partners. So do these people, do they have hobbies or interests? Are they experiencing issues such as poor mental health, homelessness, or loneliness? Defining your audience is important so that you can talk to them through your website. Because when you're writing for everyone, you're not really connecting with anyone. And if you think about having just a blanket website, then no one really knows where to find their way on it. They're not sure that it is for them. So we want to go a little bit further into this audience type. And of course, look, to be honest, I can spend in a strategy session with my particular team, we could spend 3 hours on defining our audience. So this is a really quick overview that you can do a bit of a deep dive later, but these are the things we want to think of about each of those audience types. Where are they online? Are they reading news? Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? Are they searching on Google? Nearly everyone's searching on Google, by the way. How would they come to you? Are they referred by someone? Found you online? Have they followed you? What information are they looking for? A phone number? A description of your service, perhaps? Do they want to meet the team or understand the benefits of working for you? And then what are the expectations they have when they reach your website? Do they think that they should read a case study to see if they're a good fit for working for you? Do they want to see the impact that you make because they're going to give you a grant? Do they want to read an article because they want to learn more about a particular topic and you're an expert in the field? And perhaps they want to see some social proof, which we'll talk about a bit later. Once you've done a deep dive into your audience, you must look at your website and check that each audience member, at a minimum, has a section dedicated to them. It must speak to them and it must meet their likely expectations. Okay, so this takes us to our next tip, which is to check your pages. So tip 4, check your pages. What we've looked at, so we've looked at why you exist, your point of difference, your offerings, and your audience types. Now let's check out your website page by page. And we're going to start with the home page. So think, why do you think this is the most important page on your website? This is often, if I'm visiting your website, it's my first impression of you. And it's often everybody's first impression of you. How long it takes to load that page is the very first thing I'll experience when I visit your website. How it looks on my desktop or my mobile phone is the next thing I'll experience. So I want you to think about your homepage right now. Does it load fast? Does it work on a mobile phone or an iPad? Does it look good on a desktop? Does it state why your organization exists right at the front and clearly show what you do? Has your homepage directed those audience types to the right section of the website? That's what a homepage really is. Try to review your homepage as if it were an instruction guide. Does it clearly show people what the next step is? It should be a clear delineation. So I come to the homepage. I can see your why. I love your why and I want to get involved. Is there a Get Involved tab? Is there most recent news items available? I'm a grant maker. Are there some statistics on the homepage that show me about the impact that you make? Can I see it and read it easily and find that information? That's a good homepage. Then, thinking about all of your other pages, do you have a page or at least a section for all your audience types? If not, you're not talking to them, or you're trying to talk to everyone, and again, that just won't work. So each page on your website, beyond talking to the right audiences and in the right places, each page should be clean and clear. It should clearly guide people to what's next. And that's that involved. So if I want to get involved, it doesn't mean that I want to volunteer necessarily. I might want to donate, or I might want to support a particular event that you have. So I need to be able to read all about the options to get involved, and I need to see them quite easily on the page. It's not just get involved, sign a form. You actually have to describe all the ways a person can get involved. And there should be buttons. These are calls to action, buttons directing me to the page that I want to go to next. So you need to make sense to the audience and you need to tell them what they're to do next. We want the page to load quickly and be responsive, every single page. You may be thinking, well, how would I know if it's quick or responsive, not having any of that information to hand? And the good news is there are free tools for you to get insights to. And so my tip 5 on the same slide is to test your site. So these tools are offered by Google, Test Responsive and Test Speed. I'm not sure if you may have seen these tools before. If you follow the links, and these slides are available after our session today, if you follow the links, you will be able to type in your website, and you can type in the general website domain name, or you can test page by page. And what Google will do, it will tell you how speedy your site is, where the improvements can be made, where it identifies issues. The same with responsive, it will show you if Google sees your website as responsive. And when Google rates you very poorly, it actually means that you will not be even close to the first page on Google search engine results. So when people are searching for websites, Google wants the experience to be the best for everybody. So you do want to make sure at least that you have a good score or that you are working on improving. Separate to this, it's really good idea to test your content. Just like I suggested testing your why, test the content on those pages with your imaginary audience. So we'll deep dive more into content, but a surefire way to test your content is to read your site out loud to your imaginary audience member, or perhaps you even have a real person that you can do this with. They need to take on the persona of the audience member. You read it out to them, and did that make sense? Is there something obvious that's missing for that person? In summary, reviewing all pages will quickly reveal gaps in information, speed or responsiveness, and running a test of your website will show you if you need to attempt some more technical improvements. Okay, now looking at more content. Sorry, I just have to. Okay. Sorry, I just had a little pop-up window come up there and it moved me off. So let's go to check your content. Now, when I'm talking about content today, I'm talking about any media, file, or text that is applied to your website pages. Starting with words. The words on your website are often called copywriting, for those of you who didn't know. So today, have a think about who wrote the text on your website. Are they still at the organization? When was it last reviewed? Is it outdated and in need of being refreshed? Google prefers websites that are often updating their content. Now, again, I've said it many times, read and assess the information. So read all the information on the website. Is it written appropriately for your audience? Jargon of a sector is not appropriate for clients, but it is for your pages dedicated to partners and government. And are the words written with search engine optimization in mind? Is the text a good font size? Is it easy to scan using headings and subheadings on a page? People scan pages for around 6 to 8 seconds, so you have to make it easy for them. And you need to stay away from long passages of unreadable text. People just won't connect with it. Images. I love images and I love videos. Images break up space and text. A well-chosen image is worth 1,000 words, and a video will give you so much more engagement than any of the other mediums. Images need to be brilliant and then optimized. So you might have a fantastic photographer take an amazing shot on their Nikon camera, and they give that to you. It's a raw file, and let's say it's a gig. You have to optimize that, and that means take it to the smallest possible file size without losing any quality. So JPEG is a really good small file size, and it's great to apply to websites. And that means that your page will load faster. So make sure you've optimized your images. And I've put a little free tool in here where you can go and upload an image, and then it will give you the best possible quality. It's free and easy to use. So I definitely recommend optimizing with tinypng.com. The next part of your content is social proof. This is the external validation of your organization and can be achieved in multiple ways. Think about what helps you make your own purchasing decisions. Most of the time it comes from testimonials, reviews from external parties, case studies when written from the client's internal perspective. Other social proof items could be an ACNC logo. So that's the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profit Commission. For our New Zealanders, I'm not entirely sure if you have that similar commission. Awards that you've won are a fantastic way to build your social proof. And if you've been featured in media, podcasts, anything like that. Social proof is a fantastic way for people to immediately build trust with your organization and want to work with your organization. So if you think of a person that hasn't been referred to you by someone else because that's already built trust for them, but they've actually come to your website organically, they need to see that other people have validated their experience of working with you. And you can't make it up. You should actually use full names where possible, and photographs of people if you have them available. If you can have video testimonials, that's even better. In summary, when you check your website for content, you want to ensure you use words and images well. They're refreshed regularly, and they include social proof for validation. Okay. My next tip are on the same page, tip 7 and tip 8, check user experience and check user design. So how does your website visitor experience your website? A good user experience is made up of many points. When we're talking about user experience, if you can imagine when you go to a website, and I described before, how quickly did the page load? How was it displayed? That's an experience of your website. So this is basically the way a person interacts. Then the first tip I have here for user experience is customer first. So we've got our audience types. We've looked at where they're hanging out online. We've established that they might be coming to you from social media or from a news article, from a referrer. So the customer first is, what is the customer doing before, during, and after they use your not-for-profit website? If we can dig deep into that, we understand exactly what the customer expects. I'm going to give you an example now. Imagine you're on Facebook and you saw something from a charity you love. They're holding an event. There's a link to their website. You follow the link thinking that you'll be able to find out more and book in, only to find the event booking were actually back on Facebook. I've described here a terrible customer experience. You've just sent me in a complete loop from the place where the information was to your website where there was no information and then back to Facebook. So what we want to do is we want to make things simple and easy. Your digital tools, whatever they are, should be as seamless as possible for your visitor. Your website is like an office. If I walk into your office, I expect you'll be able to help me with a query or point me in the right direction. And that's exactly what I need from your website. No matter what, a person should be able to do everything on your website with minimal fuss, and that creates a good user experience. You must have simple navigation. It must be simple for people to go forwards and backwards. What you should check here on your website is that every page leads somewhere else or to an endpoint. So if I'm on your home page, tell me where you want me to go next. If I'm on that next page, get involved. An endpoint would be that I complete a form, that I sign up to become a volunteer, that I make a donation. That's an endpoint. So, and then once I make that donation, you need to guide me back to your website to learn more. Simple menu names also go a long way in helping navigate your website. Don't spend too much time on fancy terms for your menu. The ones that are commonly known as contact, blog, or news, the about page, should be left at just that because everybody knows what they mean. Trying to be clever in these circumstances might just result in a really confusing experience. So your menu needs to be very clear and simple. Your website, it needs to be error-free. Everyone has a bug or an error now and then. That happens all the time because software's updated and things go out of date. Most people will forgive you for that. But if everything is not working, it's consistently not working, then you are just sending people away. If the forms don't work, the contact us doesn't go anywhere, there's no clickable phone number, your website freezes regularly, every page takes ages to load because it's full of images that haven't been optimized, it's not responsive at all, it doesn't work on a mobile phone, you will lose people immediately. So you need to try to test every single page and test every single form and make sure it's error-free. Then simply validate. Validate your website with people that you already engage with. Validate it with a small, diverse group of people and see what they think about your website. Let them offer you examples of how it could be improved. The best person to give you advice on your website could be the people that work with you. And the design must be engaging. I hate to say it, but everybody is not a web designer. And I think there are a lot of people out there who are incredibly proud, as they should be, for putting their own website together. But that doesn't mean that you had a crash course, maybe you did, in design. So the overall design of your website is going to help determine if a user experience is good and engaging. Fonts we can read. please, we need fonts we can read. Cursive text throughout a website is not easy to read. Don't make your website too busy because it's not easy to follow. Don't overuse colors. Avoid long passages of text, which I mentioned before. Ensure that it's a scannable page, that I can pick up my points of information quickly and easily and find the part that might be interesting to me. Use videos and photos, absolutely. Use your white space. You don't have to fill up every element of the page. And please show us your team because I can connect with humans. We like to connect with humans. In summary, if you want a website that is desirable, well laid out, great use of colors and white space and flows well, then all you need to do is either speak to a web designer or follow a few good examples. Okay, now the bit that most organizations shy away from, security and the back end. And I know that this is difficult for people. I think especially if we have small budgets, we don't tend to invest the time or the research into how we best manage our security and the back ends of our website. And the first thing I wanted to cover today was Security 101, usernames and passwords. When we first engage with new clients, especially non-for-profits that do not have dedicated IT teams, we often find that there are very poor online security practices going on. Reuse passwords, the whole team has access to. Basic passwords, like the name of your organization followed by 123. Passwords stored online or sent in emails. When we highlight this to our clients as a bit of an issue, we often hear, but who would want to hack us anyway? I've stopped being shocked by this response because I've heard it so often, but it's a major problem because hackers would want to hack your sites because you are low-hanging fruit. Very little security and lots of personal information available in most cases, and quite often, direct links to online accounts via PayPal and Stripe. If you apply simple passwords because it's easier for the whole team to remember to a website, but then you also use that password in other much more sensitive areas of your organization, you are doing a huge security no-no and an injustice to you and the people whose information you keep. No hacker wants to spend weeks trying to hack a well-secured site when they can hack an unsecured site with loads of personal information within a matter of minutes. Any password that contains real words, dates, common symbol replacements will be hacked by brute force in about the time it takes you to get ready for work in the morning. A long, random string of symbols, letters, and numbers would take centuries to crack. If you have a website, you need to take security seriously. Never admin user named admin. So never have an administrative user with the name admin. It's the first thing anyone tries. And then a complex random password will help you cover most of those issues. For those of you who are thinking, but I'll never remember a long, complex random password, there are password managers out there. So if you Google password managers for Teams, there's plenty of options to take that up, and it means that you usually have to know one password, and then you can get access to all of your passwords. And if they are business related and need to be shared with multiple people of your team, you can assign who has the access, and everybody just needs to know their one password. Backup. The next part of security in the back end is backup. Setting up backups is an important step to ensure business continuity should anything happen to your website. Sometimes an update may cause an issue that you cannot fix, or worst case, your site got hacked and you need to roll back to a previous version. Having regular backups means you can easily restore an older version and keep your site up for your important audiences. So, two things here: make sure your backups are offsite, and make sure that you have some kind of a system of backup. When you run your backups, do them at about 3 a.m. unless everyone's looking at your website at 3 a.m. because it will affect, once you run the backup, it will actually affect the speed of your website. So you don't want to be running that during the day when you're likely to have a higher rate of traffic. My next advice for security in the backup security in the back end is reCAPTCHA. So it's actually RECAPTCHA. Google reCAPTCHA is a system designed to tell humans and computers apart. So bots can't fill out forms maliciously on behalf of a human. So basically, the last part of the CAPTCHA acronym, it's an acronym, is to tell computers and humans apart. So CHA, computers and humans apart. It comes in several flavors, but they are all designed to do the same thing, and that is reduce the volume of spam you get through the forms on your website. Form spam, just like comment spam, comes in two formats, real humans and bots. reCAPTCHA will only stop bots. It does this by using complex logic to assess whether or not the user is a human or a bot. If a human fills out your forms with spam, reCAPTCHA won't stop that. So reCAPTCHA is only going to stop a bot coming onto your website. It will avoid heaps of headaches because we all get a million inbox headaches when we don't have any kind of anti-spam on our websites. The other thing I've listed here is WordVents. So WordVents is a security plugin for websites that use WordPress. Basically, it limits failed login attempts, limits access to non-existent pages, enforces strong passwords, and blocks blacklisted IP addresses. There are multiple software programs that do that. If you don't use WordPress, that's fine. You should be able to access the same kind of security plugin for any of your website foundations. What you want to look out for is that it doesn't take up too much space on your website, because some of them are very popular and they slow the site down incredibly. But look out for something like that that just helps you better secure the site. One more thing about those plugins is that you need to know how to activate them and configure them properly. Otherwise, there's no point having them at all. The last one I've recommended here is Akismet. And this is only for people who use a blog and have their comments turned on. So if your news or blog page on your website has comments on and you use WordPress, Akismet will filter spam. So it has a very good algorithm to identify the spamminess of a comment and marks it accordingly, and it lets you know. And then you say, yep, that is spam, and it's constantly building its knowledge about what's spam. So security in the back end, I know it's a little bit boring, but it is very, very important, and just do what you can to keep your site protected. The last and final tip that I have for you today is identify your goals and have a strategy. So having a clear set of actionable goals for tackling your website is a must. I think we get stuck in a trap of overwhelm when we try to think of getting our digital footprint activated and amazing, but you can go slow and steady. These top 10 tips you could actually do over the course of a year, and just working on one every 30 to 90 days. I love setting 30 to 90 day goals myself, and just think about all the little parts that need to be done. Assess if you can do them in-house, or if you need input from someone, just make sure that you have enough notice. And if you can't do it yourself, or you don't have the skills to do it yourself, you can always consider external help. So my last tip today is to identify your goals and have a strategy to implement them. Let's see let's see how everyone is tracking with this already with a poll from Chloe. So Chloe, oh, thank you.
Yep, that's all right, not a problem. So we've got do you have a plan to help your website shine online? Hopefully you have a little bit more clarity as well after today's session with Belle. I'll give it another 5 seconds for people to respond. Great. Okay, so we've got a bit of a mix here. 52% say yes and 48% say no.
Okay, perfect. Well, and thanks for that, Chloe.
Sorry.
And I just have to close this window here. Okay. So for those of you who do, fantastic. I hope you're following that. And I do hope today gave you a little bit more insight in what to check for to make sure that you do have a healthy website that's working for all of your audience types. But I have some examples here that will be sent out to you. These are examples of goals that you could set up, and it might be to update the web pages, add new content, make sure your services are there. Goal 2 is about selling more, servicing more, new plugins and features and new menus. Number 3 is about setting up success measures. So I want 300 users per month. That's a success measure. Saying that I want more users probably is a little bit flimsy. If you want to know who accesses your website from desktop versus mobile, then that kind of information can be really useful to you in how you approach what needs to be done first. So if 80% of people are accessing your website through mobile phone, you really need to make sure that mobile phone experience is good for the user. The goal 4 would be to interpret the results and create new goals. So monitor for say 3 to 6 months the analytics that you've put in place, and then build from there in what you need to do next. So potentially this will provide indicators for improvement for you. And then of course, the goal of nearly everybody is to drive more people to the website. The more people you get to your website, the more chance you have of engaging, inspiring, and connecting with your audience. So the next webinar I'm running is on September the 3rd, and we focus on 4 steps to help drive traffic to the website. So please look out and register for this, and that will include a little how-to on activating what's called Google My Business. And the last slide that I have today is a little giveaway. And I'm just going to manually open that. Okay. So today the giveaway is if you email me for a link to book, I'll send you a link to book in a free one-on-one half-hour brainstorming or strategy session to help your website shine online for the first 20 organizations. So if you would like some help for the 48% of you, I think, that didn't have a plan, if you would like to have a little talk through about how you might get that strategy activated, then I'm more than happy to sit there and do that. This is completely free and there's no obligation whatsoever to work with us afterwards. Or a brainstorming session in that I will look at your website and provide you with feedback on how I think you could improve it for your particular organization. So first 20 organizations will just email bell@digitalserviceslab.com.au. This expires on Wednesday, the 29th of July. We don't have to meet before then. You just have to send me the link before, you send me the email before then. Everyone who emails me will also get my comprehensive notes from today. So I know we had a lot of information that we covered, links, and I'm happy to provide you with all of my notes that will hopefully help you work through this as you progress. So that's it for today. I'm sorry I did have a few technology issues there, but we got through it.
Thank you so much, Belle. You did a wonderful job, and that's an incredibly generous offer for any not-for-profits reviewing their website, which I think there's obviously a lot of people here today looking at how to make their website shine, as you said. So I really do encourage everyone to take that up. We've now got a little bit of time for some questions. So I've got a few here, but if people would still like to send through some questions, love to dive into them with Belle. Belle, the first question we have was from Carly. She's asked about what are some of the things that will make a page load slowly?
What will make them load slowly?
Yeah.
So some of that does refer to that back end stuff. So if you have if your website is using a lot of resources in the back end, that could be one of the things. But the other part of that is you have a lot of on-page resources as well. So images being optimized is definitely the number one. Sometimes people who put a video on their website directly, that's going to take up a huge amount of space. So we always recommend that you put your video on a third party, such as YouTube or Vimeo, and then you embed it back in your website, because that will use a lot of the resources of YouTube servers as opposed to your own website servers. So I hope that helps with a few common tips that makes it load slowly.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I think using that tiny PNG web link is really useful for images in particular as well. So thank
Yeah,
you for
and
providing that too. Yeah.
yeah, no worries. And it's super easy to use tiny PNG. You just find the file on your computer and it does all the work for you and download it again.
Yeah.
Nice and
um,
easy.
it's great. Yeah. I've got a question here from Karen. She asked about around security. What do you think about a website having bank details on it, bank account details?
So that's so that people can make a deposit into your bank account. I
Yeah,
don't see that
sending through
that is an
donations,
issue,
etc.
and that's incredibly common. I think
Mm.
what you don't want to be sharing is obviously other people's bank details.
Yeah.
But I mean, bank details are often something that need to be provided because you're taking information. I mean, a way to alleviate that if you don't want to share your bank details is to actually make sure that you have a payment gateway on your website and they handle the security. So PayPal and Stripe are well trusted, well known, and have incredible levels of encryption and can send funds straight back into your account. But I think it's okay to have bank account details on the website. They'll
Yeah.
be on your invoices, they'll be on everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I've got another follow-up question as well from Karen. She said that in regards to driving people to her website, they currently put links to Eventbrite for their workshops, so they
Yeah.
send people elsewhere.
Yes.
She's asking, would it be wiser to put a link to the workshops directly on the website or integrating that? I know that's something we started talking a little bit about too around promoting events via your website.
Yeah, absolutely. I think integrating it is a great way forward. If you are using WordPress, there is an Eventbrite plugin. I've heard mixed reviews on that. Most of the work that Mike and I do around, like we would implement a plugin that handles the event management within the website, so the whole experience can happen on the website. But if you are using Eventbrite, I would definitely test out using the Eventbrite plugin with WordPress to see if you can get a better user experience so that you can actually embed the registration form from HubSpot onto your website, depending on the version of website, your version of WordPress, and then that can make for an easier system for the user.
Yeah, cool. Right. And Karen just did send a clarification. She said she puts events on Facebook and sends people to Eventbrite. So I think, like you were saying, the idea of though integrating
Oh,
that into probably the website itself is also useful.
yeah, yeah. So you wouldn't stop doing one or the other thing. You just want to make sure that if you do have an event on Facebook, then you'll promote the event on Facebook and they'll go directly to Eventbrite to book in. You actually don't want to be sending them to your website if they then have to go to another place. So you want to
Mm,
make it a seamless user experience. And sometimes that means if you're not handling things on your website, then don't make people go to your website
mhm,
for no purpose. Because
mm.
then they're doing multiple clicks and it becomes annoying for people and they tune out.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, I've got a sort of a follow-up question there as well from Ali. She's asked, is it easier or preferable to write a Facebook post and share it to your website, WordPress, or write a blog and share that to your
Yeah.
website or share to Facebook?
Okay, that's a really good question. And later on, we're going to be running a webinar around keywords for kings, which actually talks about SEO. The reason I mention that is because when you write a blog post on your website, you can help drive organic traffic to your website. So if I have a blog post that says, you know, here's 5 practical steps for not-for-profits in fundraising online, then I put that on my website as a blog. That means that anyone who types in, you know, practical steps for a fundraising online might have a chance of finding that blog post article. Whereas if I put it on Facebook, I don't necessarily get that kind of traction through search engine optimization. So the way that I would do it is I would have my post on my blog and then I would share that to Facebook. The other reason for doing that is then if somebody sees it outside of your existing network on Facebook, they'll go back to your website and they get to find out a lot more about your organization. So I think it gets you more traction to have a blog post and then repurpose that content.
Yeah, brilliant. And we've got time for a final question, which I think is a great question from Rod. He says, as a not-for-profit health organisation, about 85% of people are coming to their website as first-time users, and they're visiting because they need a service. He's
Yeah.
asking, what can we do to get people coming back to the website?
Then, okay, so well, it depends on the nature of the help. I would have about a million questions for this. So I'd have a few. But I think what I'd be looking at is you need a reason for them to go back. So if they go to your website, they and maybe they book in a service with you, with your health organization, have an appointment, then this is about that customer first experience. So they've used your website. After they've used your website, they've engaged with you. A way to make them go back is that you have resources available for them. So you might have, after the appointment, here are some tip sheets online for you. So you might send them an email that guides them back to the website, and that's how you can drive returning visitors. So you have to have value there. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that does. I think there's some the really good session we're going to be running on content and writing content for your website in a couple of months' time. I think will help guide people around how to generate meaningful content for your website too. So for
Yeah.
everyone to know too, Belle will be running a series of these sessions for us in the coming months. So please do keep a lookout on our training and events calendar, and also make sure you're signed up to our Connecting Up and/or TechSoup New Zealand e-news. And that will give you an idea of when these sessions are coming up too. So I really encourage you to continue to attend this series, because Belle's provided some really wonderful information for everyone today. Is there anything else, Belle, did you want to say before I wrap up as well?
Oh, I just think thank you so much, everyone, for giving me your time today. And this was the first of this series that I was running, and I'm much more of a, connecting with humans kind of a person. So it is a little bit different for me to be standing in front of my own camera and I can't see anybody's faces. So I'm sure I'll get more comfortable with that. But I do hope to see you in future webinars, and I am going to have some guests on for my future ones. So it'll feel a little bit more of a conversation with some other experts that are hopefully going to give you guys some really good, valuable tips.
Yeah, and thank you, Belle. We're so fortunate to have your expertise and you providing this information, I think, to the sector where it's really needed. So I do encourage people again to email Belle and try to lock yourself in for a chat with her, because she will continue to provide some great insights as well, I think, for your own website. So thank you, Belle, for presenting today, and thank you everyone for joining us as well.
Thank
I
you.
hope you've learned a lot from this presentation. Um, and if you did enjoy this session but want to learn more, as Belle said, on the 3rd of September, we'll be running a session about how to get your website found online using 4 simple strategies that Belle's going to break down for us. So I'll send through a link to that post this webinar when we send through the recordings and the slides for everyone too. Um, we also have a really great not-for-profit social media bootcamp being held in August, and that's run with the Creative Collective, and they're helping develop a social media strategy for your organisation. So if you're thinking about online activities and your online presence, that's another great one to attend to. So I've just popped the link in the chat box for that, but I'll send that through in the post-webinar email. So I'm going to finish up here. Please do leave feedback for us in our post-event survey that'll appear when I close this session down. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Hope you're all staying safe, and we do look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks, Belle. We'll see you later. And thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a great day.
you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.